A certain social media movement has created a buzz in a community that you're most unlikely to find its members in it. Now, the men and women behind me are here every single day to expand their businesses and feed their family. They're not on Facebook, they're not on Twitter or Instagram, but one particular person has taken an unlikely interest in this community. She has created a Facebook group called I Have a Name, This Is My Story. Now, this group has called upon all South Africans to support small businesses. All the street hawkers and the vendors are benefiting from this Facebook with the support of the rest of the continent. Her name is Jadija Roda, and she is the founder of that Facebook movement. Let's go and meet her.
Jadija Roda is a mother, wife, and photographer. Her humanitarian spirit sets her apart from the rest. She started a Facebook page that became more than sharing just daily posts. Her page went viral within 2 months of inception and caused mass change to the lives of many. This is what led her to starting her movement.
It was actually the day after Youth Day, so it was like the 17th of June. And I was driving to Builder's Warehouse to fill up my gas bottle because it was winter. And I just saw all these guys standing, by Builders, with plumber and electrician, all these signs. And there must have been about 30 of them. And it just all of a sudden struck me, and it struck me before, that there's just such a divide, and there's so many people that don't have a job, and we live with such a divide in South Africa between the rich and the poor, and it was actually that day that I decided, I can't change everybody else, but I can change my attitude towards people and engage with them. And so the very next day, there was a homeless guy that had slept on the street just outside our complex, and I decided to actually sit down with him and chat with him and hear, what his story was. And so that's kind of how the page was born.
Didi then started capturing people's life stories on a daily basis. Sincere dialogues were then created between the marginalized and the more acclaimed people.
As I started doing that daily, I realized there's such a need out there. And, I was sharing it on my personal Facebook page, but obviously there's, privacy restrictions and stuff. And I was like, if I can get this guy into a shelter, maybe I should open, a public page so that more people can see it and more help can come. And so that's kind of how it kind of started.
I Have a Name became a public platform for all those in need and all those who wanted to help. Didi explains to us how she came up with the name.
My one friend who actually lives in Dubai, Melissa, she said, her one suggestion was I Have a Name, and then the second suggestion was This Is My Story. And so I thought those two actually together, I Have a Name, This Is My Story, that just kind of, I was like, yeah, that's exactly the kind of message that I'm wanting to portray. Because once you know somebody's name behind the face, then they become more real.
Now her Facebook movement has over 14,000 followers and helpers.
I didn't expect that at all, I'm not a person who makes long-term plans. And so my husband's like, what are you starting here? I was like, I have no idea. And then when it kind of went viral, he's like, okay, you need to think about, what you're doing, what is your plan? And so I've tried to be kind of more intentional about, about what I'm doing. But yeah, the response has been amazing, just of the community and people that have offered to help. So what I've realized is there's so many people out there that want to help, and they just don't know where to start. And when they see an individual that they actually know from being, living in this community, and they're like, oh, that's the story behind that person, and I can actually help them.
Being a mother of 3, Didi admits that most of the female stories she's done also touched her.
I think the stories of the mothers, those touch me because I can, I can relate. I've got 3 kids myself, and just, but by the grace of God, that could be me, you know what I mean? And the fact that they're, like the ladies sitting at the traffic light with their kids, and to get to a place like that where you're that desperate, that just, that breaks my heart.
Being able to impact in one way or another to the lives of the less privileged, Didi says her life has also been changed.
Oh, it's definitely changed me, and it's opened up my eyes to, to people out there, and also that to give a person dignity you don't have to, give handouts to everybody. Like, it's just acknowledging somebody, not ignoring them when you stop at, at a traffic light. Giving them a smile, engaging. So often we just, close our windows and just try to not engage with the person that's handing out pamphlets or, whatever. So, yeah, it's definitely opened my eyes.
One of the stories that went viral on the I Have a Name Facebook page was Susan's story. This is how Didi came across the inspiring woman who's been selling at a bus stop for 20 years now.
It was one morning a few weeks ago, as I was driving out of our complex, one of the domestic workers in the complex was running towards the gate. And so I stopped and I'm like, you're in a hurry to go somewhere, would you like a lift? I'm just going up to William Nicol. And she's like, oh, yes, please. And so she got in the car and I was like, well, where are you going to in such a hurry this early in the morning? Because it's about 8 o'clock. And she's like, no, there's a lady that sells bread. She's got like the best bread ever. And I don't want to miss her, okay? Because she packs up, and she sells out around this time. So I drove her to where Susan sits, which is just outside the Toyota showroom there. And but I was on my way somewhere else. I did another appointment. But that was when I was like, okay, I need to, I want to get the story of this lady. And so then a few days later, I went back and I spoke to her. And yeah, she's just a lovely lady, and she's inspirational. And I think that's why, that story has done, has gone wilder than any of the others.
Susan Mangena's story, after being featured on the Facebook page, has reached 500,000 views. Susan is a single parent of 3. She makes a living by selling fat cooks and fresh bread that she makes with a primer stove. She started selling due to a tough time in her life.
Gore ke be ke tle ke rekise makunya ke ile ka fapana le monna wa banyetsi ka boya go mma motswadi wa ka ba rekisa a ba bereka mola Leslie.
Susan's rather sad story was strengthened by her mother when she gave her a business idea to make ends meet.
Maka o ile a re bo ka go no rekise mo strateng ka re go mama ka re strateng nna nka se rekise nna ke kotabe ka fasa motlhare a re jwa bana ba go ba tlo ja eng ke ile ka boya ka kushisha gore mama ka o bolela nnete ka tšea mama ka mpha 100 rand a re ke yo go reka stock re be re sa stock Alexander makula ka mo deep sloot ba se go ba ke be ke sa dula le mma di kitchen ke be se tlhoke dula deep sloot ka le ba Alexander ka reka box ya diapola le tsona di kwele botlhogo di sekerete nyana ka rekisha tšatši le ke ile ka tlhwale tšatši ka moka ke rekisitše ka dia 20 rand ka fitla ka kwata kudu ka kwatela mama ka 20 rand e ka le tšatši ka moka ka fasa ga motlhare 20 rand mama ka re go mme a o reke selo e bia ka mo ntlong ye wena wa boela ke boetse gape ke rekisitše a be ke ile fela ka gotsa ke swere 100 rand ke ile ka gotsa ke thabile kudu ke thabetse 100 rand ewe mama ka re ebi ke rekisa ntse ke rekisa everyday ntse ke rekisa go fitlhamelo re ke dia 400 rand.
Since her mother's encouragement, Susan has never stopped selling.
Ya pele la makunya gona mole ke sa pele mo ntlong ke ntse ba masepala ba re ko ba re isha go dimo lefase ke no gapeletša wa pea mole. At the end ka sa piela mola ba tla ba re ko ba ja serious ba re tšela di gase ka boya ka dula ka nagana ga bedi ga raro ka re 1 2 3 ke tlo di eng kana mo a go ne income engwe ke kry-a bana ba ke tlo ba fang ka boya ka dula deep sloot ka rekisha ka thoma go apea makunya mo deep sloot ke a rwala ka packet ke ya 4 weeks ke be ke stocka le di banana le everything jwale ke go re di ankimela ke tlhoka mothushi ka rwala ka packet ka apea ka ya rekisha 4 weeks.
Welcome back to Bophelong, right here on SABC News with me, Pule Mulebati. Now, from making as little as 100 rand per day, Susan Mangena's business has grown into leaps and bounds after she met Khadija. And through the Facebook group, she's been exposed to a wider range of customers who come and support her on a daily basis. She tells us more on how her life has been transformed.
Mohlomongwe sometimes ke rekishe lofo e one le di packaging yana je pedi ke weng tše dingwe mara since ke rekisha lofo je 3
Didi is a professional photographer that tells stories using her lens. She has a golden heart and started a successful Facebook page, I Have a Name. She reaches out to the poor and allows those who have resources a chance to help out.
The community that would usually not look at them, they're now reading the page and they're like, oh, I should actually, I can help and I can engage. And I've had so much positive feedback from, just from people, on the page that have said, wow, you've opened my eyes. And yeah, so it's helping, one person at a time, but I think it's bigger than that.
For 6 rand.
Susan is one of many recipients of Didi's humanitarian deed. Being a vendor, Susan had to vary her products.
Planiking ge go fisha batho ba be ba se sa rata makwing ka re ke tshwantse ke peke borotho jola go kwa ka ke la nruta jona ka thoma o peka borotho ka bona ba bothabela ka boela ka bona ba bothabela jalo ka ba serious mo borotho re ke sha borotho jola mo ke rekitse borotho bola ba ntse ba bothabela ba boreka ba ya go dumo le fase ba boreke bo fedile ba fapana le nna.
Shortly thereafter, Susan was forcefully removed from her usual sport, but his zeal forced her to come up with another plan to sell.
Ge ke tla felletsa mo ke ge go tlo tla mosadi wa metro a nkoba tša serious kore a nkoba go gopola pula ena ke eme ka jarate ya Toyota mehlareng ke tšhaba mmeola wa metro ke tsama ke tsena mo dishopong ke rekiša mo di-companying mo molonyana wa design court ke tsena kwa di-restaurant ke rekiša frogo ka bo 6 ge ke bona design court ke bona business e ba slow batho e ba feta mola ba sankera because nna ke tšhaba metro ka tlogela mo ka rwala pakete one day ka BP garage ka fitla BP ka sa fitla bashimana ba le ba nkama ba reka magwinya a fela ka kwa ke thagetse ka kwa ke enjoy.
Susan's angel came when she really needed a miracle to expand her business. That's when Didi was curious enough to approach her and even buy her fed cook.
Ka tšatši le lengwe ke dutse le la bone go tla mosadi wa legoa a ntumediša ka smile jwale ka ge nna motho a go dula ke thabile le nna ka smile ka sega le yena a bolela segoa ke ge ke mo lebeletse ka mahlong a pa ke a tloela se bolela lebeletse ka mahlong a bolela vela ke kgona mo kwešiša ke mo araba le yena nkwa mo dia di mistake gona gore o nyaka goreng mosadi a le go a reng ka go bodiša dipotšišo ka re a gona bothata a rena o thomile o rekiša monneng ka re ngwaga ke sa gopola mara I think ke ne 20 years.
Susan didn't know that by sharing her story with a stranger, she was opening up herself to the universe to receive what she's always prayed for.
O tlhoka eng ka re ga botse ke duma ge nka ba le stofo sa oven sa malatlha gobane mo ke dulang ke dark city ga ona motlagase ke bona gore nka beika dilo tse dintšhi different things le ge le gore ga ke na certificate.
Didi took pictures and published a story on the I Have a Name Facebook page.
Batho ba mpotsa ba re mama re go bone Facebook ke helena le mbone Facebook ke di amba re swana magwenya la boroto.
Yeah. Susan's life changed beyond her expectations.
Ke lakatsa gore ke be le mo ke dulang gona go kaone le bana ba ke kgone go ba le business ya ka e mo go bulegileng.
Her wish of owning her own stove was also granted.
Engwe ya tsena ba re kitla offerwa stove from KZN kore le mo ka sa tseba gore wa tseba gore ke gona modimo a butsina batho ba modimo ke gale ke sokola ke empa ke re go tla sokola nna ge e ba ka bana ga ke dumela gore ba tle ba gate mo ke gateleng.
Feeling overjoyed, Susan didn't know how to express her gratitude to Didi.
Ke botsa le mosadi wa legoa ke kopana le ena a tlile fotse ke re yo ke ya go leboga re se ka leboga nna leboga modimo kore ka kwa ke sa tsebe gore ke reng kore le mamotla ge ke le mo a ke tshepe kore the way mosadi a legoa sintsiang tša di Facebook ke bona diphetogo.
Susan says she's been put on a higher pedestal by the I Have a Name page and the contributors.
Batho ba bampeile mo ke be ke sa dumele gore ke tla ba gona mara bophelong baka ke bentse ke rekiša ke re mo ge ke ska tšea ke ambulance ke lwala nka sebe ka lofa o ya forways pula yana go a fisha go a tonya ke ya.
Susan sings praises to Didi for her heart of gold.
me mosadi wa lekgowa le ena kore e ke mmona kore eish ngwana mosadi o la ke tsebe gore kore motho o mongwe ke galampona ga ke tsebe mara ngwana mosadi o la ke re wa tseba modimo a mo godishang kgodišetse yena.
Welcome back. We are nearing the end of our program, but before we do that, we'd like to introduce you to more beneficiaries who've benefited from the social movement group I Have a Name, This Is My Story. Each and everyone has been able to receive different help based on each and every person's needs. Let's meet them.
Didi, besides helping the homeless and street vendors around Joburg, out of the goodness of her heart, she has been also working with the Rare Disease Project, which helps feed over 50 women in the Kayasen squatter camp. Kolisa Notabo is a recipient of Didi's amazing work. She's also part of the Rare Bear Project.
Look at that, more clothes.
uDidi waqale weza lapha Care Center yonke nje for ama kids. Lathi bese siya khona from sipreg siya saqala ukusifundisa ukuthi singahlali njengezandla esifisa iproject yokuchina zachina sesifike namhlanje lokho sachina.
Kolisa was not expecting twins in her pregnancy, as she already has a 2-year-old and a 22-year-old.
Ngaba preg vele senjalane nabo Didi. Desengithole ke ama twins uDidi wasensiza ke ukuthi mangithole abantu abazabe lokhu zama base kimi bachinela nabanye ababansizayo benikeza impahla zabantwana uyisi everything.
Led from one person to the other, Didi makes it her daily goal to make an impact on the lives of people.
I've known Didi from one of my friends, Simon Bennett, whom he just passed my number to Didi after Didi wanted to help someone from Dipsjot. And then after that, me and Didi, we just started clicking. And that's when she started to invite me to come and have a story about the church and the daycare.
Mama Martha's love for children was assured that she's doing the right thing when Didi came up to help the daycare center.
Really ka mo kerekeng, and then e be le gore first re bona ne ke bolela le moruti gore moruti bona bana ba tletse mona, then moruti e be le gore ka Satertaga wa thoma o bolela ka yona gore gona le bana o bona bana ba tletse mo e bile ba ya go le go di dustbin, then e ba botsisa gore ke mang a nyakang gore a ka thusa because bana ba tla feleletsa ba reipiwa ba iriwa mautswiwa, then e be le gore nna ke misaletso ka mmotsa gore okay nka ne ka thusa ebile ke rata o bereka ka bana ke rata o bereka ka bana ke rata bana.
Didi's extension of help through her I Have a Name page helped the Lizonia Grassroots Daycare Center to receive a lot of help.
Since Didi came, there's a lot of changes in the church plus the crèche, because I run it concurrently, I can't. And we've got a lot of toys that just came. Somebody just promised us a trampoline that we couldn't afford to buy. And for me, that is quite great. So there's many people who have come, want to help. So I can say, just mention the few blankets and clothes. Because as I've said, this community is very poor. When you bring clothes and then we give to the kids, we give to the people in the church. So it has been a help. It's like now Lizonia has grown after Didi has published our story on the Facebook.
Pastor Daniel also doesn't know how to begin expressing his gratitude to Didi.
I say to Didi that keep on doing this. Because in the beginning I thought it's like, she's joking. As I said, I was never a Facebook person. But after she published our stories, that's when I followed her. And some of the stories are really amazing. And Didi, I can say that keep it on, my friend. And our relationship is growing because I'm even now helping her to identify people who've got stories so that she can do. And I will say she is God sent. because she's not doing it for anything, any income. She's doing it for the love of telling the story and making it different.
Tabith heard about the popular Facebook page and get up courage to ask for help.
I met Didi through Facebook. I'd seen quite a lot of her good work, what she was doing to other people that were jobless. And I just thought it's a very difficult thing for a person to just expose their situation on Facebook. So I inboxed her. I said, look, could we meet? Can I tell you about myself? I don't have a job. And she says, yeah, send me an email.
Her children were her driving force.
So we met at Broad Acres. I told her my story, and she says, look, I'm going to have to take pictures. So it becomes a little bit uncomfortable. People are watching. What is this woman doing? But I'm thinking, I don't have a job. I need to get a job, and I must do it. Not for me, but for my kids.
To her surprise, Tabith received an overwhelming response.
The response was amazing. I had over 50 emails, people giving me job offers, people asking for my CV, and I'm still getting emails of job offers, but I've got a job now with Debt Guidance, a company in Durban. They just say to me, look, we're going to fly you over to Durban, and things were happening so fast. We want you to come for an interview. We want to train you. We'll book you in a 5-star hotel. And I'm like, okay, there is it. I've got a job. So had it not been because of Didi, had it not been because I was courageous enough to contact her, I would still be in my house, unemployed.
Her way of thanking Didi and all the people that offered her a job, Tabith outsourced a company to donate water tankers to a community that has been living without water.
People showed a lot of compassion. We pray for you. You don't have a job. We pray that all works for you. That's so much love coming from South Africans. And here I am, I'm thinking, what do I do to give back the same love that I've received? So I say to Didi, there's a community in Lion Park area. They don't have water. It's a community of about 300 people. They just have one tank to 300 households, not people, 300 households, families. So I contacted the diplomats' spouses in Pretoria. So they have, bought my story. They bought 2 tanks.
And to think all it takes is a couple of clicks away to change someone else's life. So go out there and make a difference. The Facebook page is I Have a Name, This Is My Story. And that's how we conclude our program for today. From us here on Bophelong, it's a goodbye.